Thank you very much. Money, yes, it is topical. There's a very interesting presentation, if you like, by John Pierpont Morgan back in 1912 to Congress. And I don't know what the question was, but his answer was quite simple. And that is, money is gold and the rest is credit. Now, you might think that that was just an opinion of J.P. Morgan, but actually it is a legal fact. And it's forgotten nowadays. I mean, so much so that modern economists think that gold is a pet rock, or it's no longer relevant, if you like, to the modern monetary system. But it still remains to be money. So that's really what the talk here is about. Now, you've got money, currency, and credit. And I'll start off with money. Money is gold and silver coin or bullion. In this country, from 1817 onwards, the sovereign was exchangeable, this is until the First World War, of course, was fully exchangeable for every pound that was issued, whether that pound was a pound note from the Bank of England, or indeed a deposit in a commercial bank, that you could exchange for gold coin in the form of sovereigns. £1, one sovereign. And the start of this goes all the way back to Roman times. Justinian codified earlier findings of Roman jurors as to money, credit, and whether credit was something that, whether it was a mutuum, in other words, it was something which, you could deposit in the bank and it was yours, or whether it was a depositum. In other words, you entered into a relationship with the banker whereby he owed you money. And that is, if you like, the way modern bank credit works. So it goes all the way back to the time of Justinian. Now, by the time Justinian codified this, of course, the Romans had left this country. So it wasn't really properly tied up in common law, but that was corrected when common law merged with the Court of Chancery in 1875. And from then on, it was formalized that money was gold. The roll of silver was small change for anything less than £2. That was the original relationship. So anyway, that is money. Nothing else is money. It's as simple as that. Now, currency is a circulating medium which is used for the buying and selling of goods and services. And it comes in two forms. You've got banknotes, which we all are familiar with. And banknotes are basically, if you like, a debt on the Bank of England. It owes you £1. And I don't know if you've looked at the new notes, but you find that I promised to pay the bearer. The writing has got incredibly small. It gets smaller and smaller with every issue. But that is why it's I promised to pay the bearer. I promised to pay the bearer in sovereigns, in gold, money. That's the key thing. The vast majority of circulating medium is bank deposits. And that's credit owed by a bank to its depositors. And nowadays in this country, I reckon, is somewhere like 95 to 97% of the circulating medium. So when you look at circulating medium, it is essentially more or less only bank deposits. Now, the other side of that are bank loans, which are created by a bank in favor of the borrower. Not many people actually understand the basis in which bank credit is expanded, but it's very, very simple. You've got to bear in mind that banks run a double entry bookkeeping system, which is simple. We all do, or we should do. If you go into the bank and you want to borrow some money, and you manage to persuade the bank to lend you the money, you will sign the documents. And then as you go out of the door, the bank manager will say, well, thank you very much indeed. We've agreed the loan. The money is now in your account. Now, what he means by that is that he has created an entry on the asset side of his balance sheet, and there has to be a contra entry on the liabilities side. The asset is the loan to you, On the deposit side is your money. They must balance out. Nobody else has been involved other than the bank itself. It has created this out of thin air. And so a bank, they're dealers in credit, and they create loans and deposits for interest profit. It's important to remember that. They do not have a role in society as a social something or other. Regulators seem to forget that they are actually dealers in credit. But at the end of the day, that is the thing that drives the cycle of bank credit expansion and contraction.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me see if I can get Ham. He did actually call a couple of times. I called him back, and I'm sure he'll be busy. But I'll try again. The one beat Zizou. Every day I'll answer this question. And Frank, when Martin makes himself available to me, I won't tell you. I'll just keep it to myself. But anyway, on Friday last.
Call for him.
Hello? Not much. Just hang on. You can talk in a second. So Frank, Friday last week at 6:46 a.m. Actually, that's when I responded. It was Thursday evening at 8:44 p.m. Martin Shen texted me. He said, "Hi, Bill. Just for your information, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still in Asia, but our queue did just come out. So I will arrange something with you when I return." And Frank, as soon as he arranges it, you'll be the first to know. Otherwise, I can't make anything happen. When he comes back to the United States, when he tells me he's available, you'll be the first to know. All right, Ham is here. Let's see what he has to say.
Address Frank.
Yeah. Frank's here. Frank Zara. He's a good guy.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying anybody's a bad guy. Say, Frank, while we're waiting for the CEO who has to use a pillow to fight back against the criminals, call the SEC up, register a complaint, tell them what you see, complain about whatever it is, get a complaint number, tell us all about it. They'll call you back, tell us what you said. It's easy to do. They won't bite you. We all see the crime. We've all done it 100 times. This is a criminal activity, and it's sad that we have to beat up the people at the company. We all do it. We demand the video. We demand an update. We demand to know everything they're doing. And public companies just can't operate like that. They just don't do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen, I got it. Some companies need to be beaten up. KNW, GMGI, after all this shit that's out there about Lynn Partners, these guys took money from them. Both their stocks are going straight down with all the money they got. How does money turn bad? I can't figure that out. Money's supposed to be wonderful for these companies. But it just means death. And the companies signed those notes, and now they have to suffer with it. And those companies should get beaten up because there's plenty of information about Jeff Easton being a toxic lender all over the place. Companies that are fighting, trying to do business and grow business, look at Elon Musk. They beat him up every day. and that was one of the subjects I wanted to talk about today, William, is that Tesla was down big the last couple of days. And it came all the way back now today, $40. So I think if you look the last couple of days, it was down 40, now it's up 40. And the company came out and they beat earnings. And he has a positive upbeat about his future, right? And the stock is up 40. Do you think that's investors running to buy it or shorts trying to cover who pay them 40? Those are shorts trying to cover. That's not investors saying, oh, I got to buy Tesla now. That's how big a short, that's what a short squeeze looks like on an earnings report. There's many different looks to a short squeeze. That's based on earnings. They beat it down and then they took it back up. I mean, I keep trying to tell people this isn't a stock market, it's a casino. Think about the option activity and a stock that goes down 40 and up 40. Going down, all the poor people that own calls got wiped out. They all dump them, lose half their money, lose 3/4 of the money because it doesn't look like the stock's going to come back 40. And before options expire on Friday, it comes back 40. I mean, the money that's being made on the manipulation is just out of control. And, you guys think it's, you're used to seeing these big numbers. We're not used to seeing these big numbers. These are massive moves. Think about Tesla. The stock went down to like $210, let's say. The 220 calls were probably worth, 50 cents. Now they're worth $25, $2,500 each. It's a massive, massive payday. And the people that are manipulating the stock, the big boys can do that. They could drive them down, drive them up. We can't do that. But again, if you have a complaint, we're with you. Just call the SEC, call the hotline up, report a crime, report whatever you want to say in your work, what you see. Anyway, just move on from that. Today is the 24th. The real short data comes out. The last couple of days is not going to be included in this data. We know yesterday they closed 50,000 shares right around the close at 190, 192 right here. And it's so funny. I reported it as it happened in real time. I took a snapshot of it. That a buyer showed up for 50,000, and just as they did it, seller shows up for 50,000. Isn't that amazing? Not a share less, not a share more. 50,000. They crossed it, all the bids disappear, and they marked it down to 188 on the close. So 50,000 share buyer, to everybody on this call, we all thought it was a positive event. Someone's coming in to buy 50,000. Is it a real buyer? Who is it? Because no one ever shows their cards like that. I've been watching it a long time. I never see bids for 50,000. I don't even see bids for 5,000. I see offers all the time for 5. You never really see any big buyers. So I thought maybe this was a change. Well, unfortunately, they put their own bid, and then they hit the bid, and they want you to think there's a big seller out there, and they want you to sell. That's what that cross was for. They wanted to show you that 50 was the buy, and there was 50 to sell. And the strange thing about it is it happens in 1 second. 50,000 to buy, 50 to sell. That tells you it's a fake trade. Because you can't even type fast enough to sell you 50,000 that fast. Nobody on this phone call could be doing that. The only people that knew there was 50 to buy was the person who had 50 to sell. And that's what these guys are doing. They're just playing with us. Again, at the end of the day, they have to buy back all they sold. DJT was just 12, it ran to 37, they knocked it back down this morning. And by the way, William, my friends, a group of guys made DJT buy the dip, sell the rip twice. They haven't participated in the third one. They said they did it
today.
twice.
They did it today. Wow.
They did it this morning on the flush down this morning.
So what they make per share, they made probably 75 cents, $1.25.
65, 70 cents. One guy made $1 on the last run. It ran from below 35.
That's nice. They do it every day. That's nice.
Well, I told you, while it's the active one, You can do it every day. I told you GME was doing it for a while, but that stopped.
Right.
The hedge funds are not there now. The hedge funds are here. Hedge funds, I'm teaching you how a hedge fund thinks. They buy the dip and they sell the rip. Only they're doing it with 50,000 shares. You know, you make 75 cents on 50,000 shares, you're making 37,000. You know, these guys do this all day long. You know, they chop it away 3 times, they make $100 grand, you know, and they go home and they're flat. That's what real hedge fund trading is about. They don't buy stocks at 20 and say, okay, let's let it go to 100. They don't do that. They just keep flipping them. And a lot of them take positions. They'll buy calls. And that's how they play the upside. They make the money in the stock trading, take the profit, and they buy calls with it. You know, so they get a big position in calls for free. If the calls ever hit, then they really kill them. Imagine they did that with the 20s and the stock went to 37. Those calls went from $1 to $17, $18. You know, imagine having 1,000 of them. That's what these guys do. And that's the beauty of a hedge fund. And that's what I tried to teach people. How you can buy the dip, sell the rip, and you can, you know, make profit. You don't have to stand there. And I got it. Not everybody has the money to do it. I agree with you. But I'm trying to teach you how to play the stock market the real way. And you're getting a good example of trading patterns. These are short patterns trying to cover. That's why I report it. And when you see a stock like Nancy Eddy, which I knew nothing about, a nuclear power company, it was 10. I saw it at 27, and in 2 days they got it down to 18. What stocks trade like this? From 10 to 27 back to 18. This is in days. It's just the movement is out of control. What is everyone buy the stock one day, hate it the next day, buy it back the next day? This is manipulation. It's a nuclear power company. I don't know nothing about it. I just look at the volatility. It's out of control. Finger motion has no volatility. You know, we're all looking around saying, hey, where's the buy? What's going to happen? That doesn't bother me. I don't care if you buy it or not. The short is going to be exposed. We're down to 9 trading days. And in an hour and 10 minutes, we'll be down to 8. You know, these guys are just running the rope. They're running it to the end. And if you think that Donald Trump is going to walk away and not expose and get these guys, then you're out of your bird. I'm reaching out to a friend of mine, trying to reach out to that artist, the guy that's from Staten Island. He's always in Trump's face. I'm going to give him the photo of that the Forbes magazine from 1988. You know, where it says stop counterfeiting is naked short selling decent. I want to get it to that guy Scott and say, give this to President Trump, because I know he's having a conference, a show in the Garden this Sunday, I think it is. Mm. So a lot of New York people I know will be there. So we're just trying to get someone to say, hey, you got to speak about this. You know, just get them to say something about it. You know, we can't get it that close. We're trying, but I would love to get them to come out and say, hey, anybody who's naked shorting or selling counterfeit.
What if they bring you out on stage after they bring out RFK?
I can't even.
You'd get at least a quarter of the audience to give you a standing ovation. The rest would know who you are.
I don't really care at this point.
But you could give a great speech on it. Don't you want to make America settle again? Don't you want to make American markets great again?
I think all you have to say in any forum is that the U.S. equity markets, foreign terrorists are selling counterfeit shares into the U.S. That's it. And if it doesn't stop, this will eventually unwind the financial system. That's it. And these guys are selling it, taking the money, and basically using that money to kill us. What else can you say? And they're doing it to your stock, President Trump. What else can you say? He knows about it. That's Devin Nunes. He's made 40 statements about it. He called the NASDAQ up. you know they're going to get through it. They call for investigations. Now, we call for investigations. No one gives a shit. But Devin Nunes and Donald Trump do it. They're going to get some. There's going to be action. And I think that they've been so quiet for a reason. I just feel like they've been very quiet. So, I mean, that's, you know, I believe it's going to happen. And listen, the shorts are trapped. Where are they going? And if you wanted to play DJT, the safest and the best way is to buy the dip, sell the rip, and you own some calls for cheap, for no money. You know, there's plenty of cheap calls. If they go to zero, you go to the next month and you do it again. But you can only buy calls when the stock is going down, and you sell them when the stock goes up. So let's say you buy 100 calls at $1. I'm just making a round number up. And they run to $1.50, you sell 50 of them. That means you own 50 calls at 50 cents. It's still risk, but you're taking half your money off the table. Imagine if you bought 100 at $1, sold 150 at $2, you have all your money off the table and you got 50 calls for free. But you can't look at it saying, oh, that's my profit. You can't do that. This is a game that keeps moving on. You're always going to be invested. You're always going to have a winner and a loser. Don't listen to anybody who says they win all the time. You always got a winner and a loser. You know, just the way it goes. Oh, the stock's going up, but this one's going down. That's just the way it goes. You know, you can't. You don't buy the bottom on everything and they go straight up. It just doesn't happen. Any questions, William?
I'm sure.
I don't have a computer in front of me, so it's not easy.
I'm sure there's some other stocks that people are trying to get distracted with, but
I want to hear. I don't know any of the stocks. I know the ones that I follow. They're all doing shitty right now, and I hope they turn. And that's the basket of all those stocks. If one was going, I would know about it. I would get an alert, but nothing's really moving.
if Lynn Partners gets caught in a short squeeze and Lind goes bankrupt, what happens to the naked short shares?
William pays it off.
That's what I was afraid of.
There you go. I didn't tell you that, William. You signed the paper that you are responsible. There's been many stories written. The stock market is fully guaranteed. So when the short goes bankrupt, the prime broker who has that position will buy it in. He then takes his bill, he takes his loss, and he sends it, and he tries to go after Lind Partners, let's say. Lind Partners defaults, he has to eat that loss. If the prime broker goes belly up, then the depository trust has to step in. And they honor the trades.
So this person thinks I'm lying. Whatever happened to the call with Patrick Byrne? You said it would be the 30th.
I got to call my friend Patrick O'Rourke. Want to hear him? He's at Donovan's drinking. You want me to talk with him?
Yeah,
Give me a break.
let's do that. Where's the movie? Where's the movie that the GoFund money went towards? I don't know. It's in the hopper somewhere. I'm not a movie director. I don't think him is either. I spent 4.5 to 5.5 hours with those people. I spent time down there myself alone from about 10:30 till 4 on a Friday. And it's a good group. They went from city to city to city. They interviewed people, and I don't know what the reason is. But the last time I heard, they needed more content to fill out the thing. But Kia, whoever the hell you are, why don't you go on Twitter? You can do a little research. You can find out who did that video and contact them. And the trip to Korea, I have no effing idea about either. That was going to be paid for by one of the whales, and it never came through. I'm nothing but talk. I think you're nothing but walk. Get the hell out of here.
Listen, we had investors that were going to pay for it. It costs a lot of money to travel the world, and we can't afford to do it. Patrick Byrne is in hiding somewhere in Europe. Go follow him on Twitter. You can reach out to him and ask him any question you like about stock settlement. He told us in the conference call that we had, all right, and he said that he's going to do only one thing, and that is fix stock settlement. That's Pat Burns' voice.
All right. Apparently I was the one pumping the movie. Let me make it clear, 22 J Dog. Last August, approximately August, so almost just a little over a year ago, I got a dozen phone calls waking me up. Where are you? Why aren't you down at the SEC? Why aren't you? Then I got 20 more phone calls from them and from him and from, where are you? You got to be there. So I went down. I gave a full interview. I took them to an Irish restaurant for lunch. I sat and talked with the group. I know they did interviews down in Georgia, up in New York, out in California. They flew all over the country. They did the video. I didn't. And I don't know where the money went. Ham put up 10 grand. I don't know if he knows where his 10 grand went. I don't know where it is. I don't know why it's taking so long. And if you're waiting for that movie to come out and that's going to change your life, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you.
I put up $10,000. I earned the commission. I didn't take the money. I gave it right to the movie people. I told you all I did that. I'm not chasing it down. I only go forward. If I can't get Pat Byrne, I go forward. He'll come up sooner or later. All right. I know people talking to Donald Trump. If you want to meet me in Midtown, I'll take you to meet some of the people that are doing this stuff.
So why were you pumping that movie? Why do you pump Pat Byrne? Why do you come up with all the harebrained ideas you come up with? What is your goal?
Jeff Easton pays me to do that.
No, I'm not. I think it's because you're trying to do anything to fight back and to make anything happen. Instead of bitching and moaning that the movie didn't come out, notice that Ham is on here every day. He tries every idea. Some of them don't work. Some of them get a little purchase. But overall, we're fighting an uphill battle. And I don't know what else to tell you. I think 22 J Dog, you should go watch football on Sundays and get out of the market, because I don't know how I can help you anymore, Frank.
Listen, Jeff, call Jeff Easton up. He'll give you money. Call Jeff Easton up.
I'm going to let you finish the talk. It's just too much negativity for me. It's just too much negative.
Jeff Easton pays everybody to help entrap you. That's how it works. Call the SEC up and tell them Jeff Easton's paying people. Call them up. We got nothing better to do. Talk to you. We're wasting our time. Just delete the guy. Just block him. Get rid of him. I don't care.
No, I think J Dog's a good guy. I deleted the other one. But it's incredible. What's a movie going to do to our situation? It's one piece of the puzzle. What did my 15 or 16 trips down to the SEC do? I never saw you there, J Dog. Never saw you there at the SEC. I never saw you once. I never saw you in New York. I took 3 trips to go up with videos in New York City. I never saw you there. They all went out to Las Vegas. Never saw you there. I wasn't there. So I guess I wouldn't count on that. But where are you in the fight? What are you doing, J Dog, except criticizing?
Let him criticize. Who cares?
I don't know. I think I'm going to stop doing these. I almost want to hang up right now. I don't want to do these lives anymore.
I told you to stop doing it. We got 8 days to go and you're done. That's it. We're not doing it anymore. There's no reason to do it anymore. The U.S. government needs to take care of us, not us. We need to take care of ourselves, so we're going to go back to trading. I'm going to raise some capital, and you'll work with me, and you'll trade stocks. We don't need to have these conversations anymore.
Has it ever been the case that a dividend approval has taken this long?
We all think that has something to do with the. Well, the CEO said they were in contact with the SEC on Williams' call. Did he not say that, William?
Yeah, but no one wants to accept the obvious, which is, I think, obvious. The SEC is full of attorneys, And if you've ever met attorneys, dated attorneys, or had an attorney in your family, you know they don't think the way you do. Evidence is only entered into evidence. Nothing else matters. It's only what they see. And if they've changed the auditor, which Finger Motion announced, I think the SEC is waiting on that dividend until that audit comes through. But who knows? It could be anything. I was speaking to a CEO yesterday, and he told me that it takes 9 months now to get an approval for a reverse split. 9 months. So maybe things just take a lot longer now. Remember, the SEC, FINRA is there to help the criminals. They're not there to protect you. They're there to help the criminals. Time helps the criminals. It's as simple as it is. The regulatory system is corrupt.
The questions that I always want to hear is, who's selling all the stock? And my answer is always, just follow the sell tickets. The sell tickets mean they're getting the money. That's what it's all about, the money. So who's doing all the selling? I know it's not me. I know it's not William. We know where it's coming from, Madison Avenue and their friends. So there's your answer. So when you see the manipulation, what would you like us to do? If you're an angry man or woman, whoever you are, go to Jeff Easton's office on Madison Avenue and go tell him. Go to the FBI. Knock yourself out. We've done it.
I do think it's unknowable. It's unknowable. That's the problem with real life. What impact these calls are having. I know that Ham is unstoppable. He won't let me take a morning off. He just goes. He's on X. He's always going to meetings. He's always taking phone calls. He's always working the phones, talking to people, and working on behalf of shareholders of Finger Motion. He gets involved in other things. But imagine where Finger Motion would be without him. Just imagine. 0.00001.
We would be KNW, 19 cents with a debt spiral on you. That's what we'd be.
Right. I don't know. I'm sorry I got upset. I don't know. I don't think I'm very effective at telling this story. It must be because I must just assume you all understand things that you don't. But we've been telling the same story without change, by the way, for about 2.5, 3 years here. And some of it I've learned. I've had to adjust my thoughts. For example, I used to think MMTLP, there'd be a settlement and it was going to be a big one. I no longer think MMTLP is going to have a big settlement. Now, it might during the court system, sure. GTII, it's now in a court process. So thank God you have a great guy like Not Legal Advice working. But I don't know what to tell you. The system is set up to allow the criminals to steal trillions, that's with a T, trillions of dollars without paying taxes, and no one cares. The only person I know that cares is Ham, Junk Savvy, and Busy. The only people I know that care and Not Legal Advice. That's all. That's it. And a handful of others on a. But
what was the stock we talked about this morning? XXII.
Yeah, XXII. It's got a hell of a mountain chart to it.
You said it was $1,200.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that. It's unbelievable. XXII.
I remember the stock from many years ago. It was $5 to $6. And they were working on something to help people to stop smoking. And they were getting approvals from the FDA, and they were waiting for, I forget what it was. This was many years ago. And I hit it up the other day, and I couldn't believe it was 10 cents. And my friend said they had a bunch of reverse mergers.
Let me see if I can find it. I think it was as high as something like 1,500 or something like that.
10 cents. And this stock was trading millions of shares a day, forever. So think about how much money they stole out of that one.
What do you call it again? XXII, 21st century or something? Okay, yeah, 22nd century. So to 5 years. This might not show it. I might have to go on to Yahoo, but let's see what this shows. Well, this chart shows, yeah, 1500. 1500 right there.
10 cents. The 10 cents.
And now it's 10 cents. Yep.
All the way down, these guys have sold counterfeit shares down.
XXII.
So for the people on the phone saying we're pushing something, I'm not pushing, I'm just reading you the proof. There
Here.
you go. On that stock, I used to know it. I don't know it, but I'm just saying that we didn't tell you to go buy it. We're telling you what the crime is.
1500. It was.
If you look, call the SEC up. Why don't you follow to sell tickets to that one? Oh my goodness, who stole all that money? Probably
just-
somebody you see on TV every day.
Yeah, and the movie's going to stop it.
Right. We need, I don't know what, we're trying to get all the exposure we can. It's all over the place. GameStop, AMC, everybody's screaming every day. And the only hope we have is Pat Byrne and Donald Trump. And the more they fuck around with DJT, the better it is for us. That's how I look at it. And that doesn't come from my Wharton Business School. That comes from standing on the corner on Bath Avenue. That's where I got that knowledge from. That's what's coming down. And if that's not going to stop them, then there is no stopping them. Then everybody on this call should go out there and do like Andrew left. Look at the woman that worked for him. She made a couple $1 million just writing fake tweets. How's that one? Go out there and do that. Companies, frauds, going out of business, the Chapter 11, you name it. Go to town on them. Go make some nice, easy money. Defrauding the companies and the investors. Why not? Everybody else is doing it.
Nothing.
William, don't go with nonsense, please. I don't want to.
I won't. I'll just let you talk. I'm not going to read any questions. You just talk.
These things are just what we're trying to fight. There's nothing else I can say. If you don't like what we're doing, you don't want to hear it, just hang up. That's all. Hang up. We're not giving you anything that's life-changing here. You know what the story is. You know we short the stock. You know how big the short is. The real data will come out tonight about the real short. How you like that? I'm reporting the real short. That's real information. You can see it yourself. All right? I'm not making it up. It's right there. The information from FINRA comes out every night. We show you how many shares they naked short. I put the proof up yet. When I put up yesterday, the 50,000 share bid came up. I reported it in real time before they even did it. They were going to wash the trades.
Yeah, and is that when they did the 23,000?
Right. That's
Yeah.
what Jeff Easton called me up. Said we're going to wash some stock here. I said, okay, thank you, Jeff.
And he said, keep 10 cents for yourself.
Right. And let's remember, I trade Yahoo options. Remember, I can cross stock. I know how to trade options. Okay, thank you, Jeff. Or was it Phil Lavaliere calling me up? I forgot.
Yeah.
If you got any questions, anybody, call up the FBI and ask him about the Anson Fund. Or you can ask Andrew Left, ask about him. Who's he giving up? They all work together. Or Hal Mintz of Savvy Management. Why don't you ask that question? We reported on all those people, or the Kramers with GTII, or Yorkville shorting Wolf, or this one, or that one, or CELU. I reported them all. I don't know no stocks.
Finger's still green today.
Whoop-de-doo. I don't understand what they're even doing. That's the funny part. And when Trump wins, Pat Byrne will have the whole book on finger motion unless they assassinate him, which he said he thought they were going to do. He put that up on Twitter, by the way, everyone. Go on Twitter, look at Patrick Byrne. He wrote, if he does get eliminated, all the information he has will be released to his sources, wherever they are. I don't know who they are. Pat Byrne has done some crazy stuff. He even set up Hillary Clinton to take a $19 million bribe to the FBI. Pat Byrne did that. Go read about Pat Byrne, what a guy that guy is. And he's coming here for us. Go watch his videos. If you guys got something better, bring it to the table. Let's go. That's all I got left.
Oh my God. I'm nervous about reading any further on this one.
Don't even read.
TeraWulf announces upsize and pricing.
Of a debt.
Yeah, 425 million convertible notes. Oh God.
And the best part about that,
Yeah.
I had a guy call me yesterday that would do a big debt offering, and I said, what company's that? I said, yeah, I know these guys are bull. Maybe you can do it there. I didn't even think about it, and they did it the next day. But that probably cost me a couple $1 million in commission if I would have got that done. I didn't even think about it.
You don't. You're very generous. You're not a greedy guy. So it's 2.75 convertible senior notes. Sold to qualified institutional buyers, conversion of $8.48 per share, a 32.5% premium to the closing price.
All right, so they did it above the market.
Yeah,
They're getting smarter, right?
I don't trust it. The stock's down.
Listen, Lynn Partners does those things where they're 38% below. They price it, right? These guys priced it above. Listen, they're smart guys. You know, they built, one guy came from BlackRock. There's some smart people there. The guy built nuclear power plants. That's what he did. So again, I'm not worried about them. It's not about it. We had to call it 60 cents. It went to $6. Take it easy. If you're still in it, good luck. I could care less.
Well, I'll see what the terms say if they announced it, if they filed it.
They did file it. It was out this morning.
I know, but the press release doesn't have the terms of the note.
Listen, people just stay away from those names. That's all. There's nothing to say. I don't know. Do you want? You know what it is. It's based off of Bitcoin. They have a big convertible debenture now. That they support their debt. I don't know. Who knows? I have no idea. But that's not my game. I'm going back to buying the dips, sell the rips all day long. No one's going to know what I'm doing. Take it easy. And I did my best. And I believe Pat Byrne and Donald Trump will rip the hearts out of the naked short sellers. Because there's no choice, but they have to. There's no way to do it. DJT has to be fixed. He knows if he doesn't fix it, they're going to push it back down again. So he knows what to do. He can't come out there and say, hey, I'm the president. Can you just fix DJT and no other stocks? If he does that, then I'm with him. We should have voted for the other moron. And if anybody's ever been on the Bell Parkway, it's a nice traffic jam driving out to Kennedy Airport.
Doesn't really I guess the prospectus hasn't been filed yet. It doesn't really say. So PS71, I don't know if it is going to be toxic or not.
Just contact them. Listen, William, you can't get involved.
But at probably that the height of that stock is about $8 now for the near term anyway. 8, whatever the conversion was. Can you show how to use Fibonacci on Finger? No, not really. Arca's pretty good at that. Avid Trader is good at that.
Listen, if you want to learn about charts, join a charting service, learn how to do it yourself, pay the fee, and learn how to do it yourself.
I don't know how to do that Fibonacci crap, although I think that's what the computers use, so it's important to maybe follow. But to me, I just put up the chart of Finger. This is Finger in front of you. And to me, yesterday or the day before, it kind of broke out to the upside. And I think Finger's going to 260 in the short term. That's what I think. But who knows? I mean, everybody can read a chart differently.
Right. That's what I say. You want to read a chart? Go read a chart. That's it.
Trade spotting. I don't know where trade spotting is, but that's a good idea. Do you think Finger is going to squeeze before the end of the year? My opinion is it's going to squeeze after earnings turn to positive and they're predictably growing. They never, and it looks like they'll never not be positive again. Basically, once you have predictable growth and positive earnings, I think that's when finger can squeeze. And so it's a question: would it happen in December? I don't know. It could be February.
But my answer to that is here. I agree with William saying that that's coming, and when it comes, it comes. But I also believe that the short's going to panic, and I believe it's going to happen soon. That's my belief.
Well, yeah.
Because you got some pair of balls that still stand here, knowing what's coming. And if you don't do anything and stand there and just walk away from it, you know you're going straight to jail. So the guy that's short 1,480,000, he doesn't want to stand in front of anything else that he can't control. Once these guys lose control of the short position, it's over with.
I don't know. Delta Doc keeps asking me about Mitch Wexler and wants me to share it with you. He thinks that the school boards and CADs, I don't know what CADs are, there's a lot of corruption in mortgages and et cetera. I don't know. If you know who Mitch Wexler is, I don't know who he is.
I focus on one thing. I trade stocks. My background is I trade stocks for minutes. I changed because I thought I wanted to become not a trader anymore. I wanted to become an investor. That brought me into finger motion. Through my contacts, I met people, and that's when I thought it was a great story. That's it. I worked here for 4 years trying to help break the shorts. The stock had up moments, down moments.
You almost did it a couple of times. I mean, it's.
I'm just saying that that it's time for me to go back to what I really do and make money every day. Standing here with William, trying to educate people. 90% of you, I believe, enjoy listening and trying to learn something. 10% are trying to ruin it for everybody else. So there's no reason to do it anymore because we can only teach you so much every day. We have, and we gave.
Well, it's. I mean, in fairness for everyone here, and maybe it's in my own defense too, but Finger's been down for down for over a year, and it's had a lot of good news, but it just keeps going down. The Deacon Blues is 1 block away from Donald Trump in Arizona right now. I guess Trump's doing a presentation in Arizona. Pretty cool.
It's getting around, man. I'll tell you that. I guess he's working hard to be the president now.
He's working hard. He's asking for the vote. I don't know what she's doing. She seems so calm about it that maybe she just knows she's going to be president.
Does anybody know that witch? I'll go to her.
Maybe she'll work on.
We just wanted to talk about it. Not that she would ever understand it, but
I think you have to present it to her that the people doing this short selling are all white men. It's time to have. It's time. Yeah, they're Republicans. It's time to have minority women join in.
Maybe I should put that up on Twitter. Jeff Easton, the Republican, is bashing the Democratic Party. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
He's paying people to vote Republican. He does everything. Might as well stick them on him, right?
So Eric wants to know why he's just making these numbers up. But 100 share volume can drop Finger 50 cents, and 1,000 shares of volume just raise it 2 cents. What's going on? In other words, I guess he's asking why does it move counterintuitively to the amount of volume?
Eric, I'm not going to be sarcastic. I'm going to teach you. Market makers are in the box or make a market in the stock, And by rule, they only have to take 100 shares if they're bidding for it. So if you're bidding $2, let's say it's two bid for 100 shares, and someone comes to sell 10,000 shares, you look at it and say, fuck you, I'm only taking 100 shares, and I'm going to drop to $1.90. So now the stock, the next trade, if it trades 100 shares, it's going to be the $1.90 because no one's buying the 10,000 at two. So they drop the bids, and then the seller will follow you down. And now you have a stock that goes down on 100 shares for no sales. When the stock is going up and you come in with a lot of buying to buy it, they're just selling it to hold it from going up. The only time it actually works when you attack these guys, you need millions and millions of shares to keep coming at them like a tsunami. And that's when they do the backstroke. That's when they get crushed when it goes over their margin calls. And that's what happened in GameStop. And that's what happened in DRUG or what are those stocks that squeezed recently. It goes above the short's cost, where he is, his averages, and they get pushed. That's what happens. I'm not part of any of those, but that's what happens. I told you $2.40. That's when the real short's in trouble. It got there twice. He pushed it back down. And to go back even further, DJT, we said it was 54 a long time ago. It got to 55 and a half, and they beat it back down. So it didn't stay above those numbers, and they beat it back down. They beat them back down because they know they're in trouble at that point. That's what happens. But if you read, I'll put the loophole up when I get home, and you can read about how Tom Gear, NASDAQ vice president, said people are going to be market makers, and they're in the box. We call it the box to make a market. That's what they call it, the box. And all they do is sell. They don't buy anything back. And that's why your stock goes down on 100 shares, because the market makers all walk away. They're all short. They don't want to buy any shares. They just want to let it go down.
Are there really market makers anymore in smaller
No,
stocks?
they're hedge funds. They're hedge funds.
Yeah.
They all registered as market makers, but they're all hedge funds.
What did we used to call the guys down on the floor? They're the
A floor broker?
yeah, the floor broker, but the guys that would handle the book.
Specialist.
The specialists. Do they have specialists anymore?
No. Yeah, they have specialists. They just steal. It's called Jeff Easton. He's a specialist.
But Congress doesn't know that. They think they're still regulating.
You don't know. I found another video with that guy Kaufman back on Pat Burnside from 1989. He's talking to Jim Cramer about naked short selling. I put it up this morning. Go watch the video. I put it up this morning. Deep capture. I said, I think Pat Byrne educated that guy Kaufman from Delaware about naked short selling back in 2009. That was my headline. So when you guys are all sleeping, I wake up and I search for information that somehow can help us all every day. I do that.
Well,
Again, I put it up before. This is the biggest crime in U.S. history.
it shouldn't be like this, but it is.
It's global. It's global history. They're robbing everybody. But at least the other countries know what's going on, and that's ain't enough. Our country, which everybody here lives in, they're just pissing on you. So if you want to be angry at anybody, you know who to call.
Well, I guess there's people out here that think you and I are doing this because somehow we're pumping and dumping, or we're lying,
right.
or we're doing something wrong. I don't know. You judge whether we're doing something wrong, but I don't think. All I can tell you, there isn't a living in this so far. The guy making a living are the criminals. And the congressmen and the shills, the regulators that are bought.
Stop addressing people that are doubters. It's over in 8 days. That's it. I'm
Yeah.
going dark after 8 days. Trump wins. Pat Burns coming in. It's in the hands of those guys. I'm not going to address it anymore. I'll post what I see, and that's the end of the conversation. No more phone calls. It's over with. You go talk to yourself. I'm not hearing abuse from people from working every day. I'm driving in the car, giving you my time. I don't see anybody else doing it. Put your number up on Twitter. I'll call you up in the middle of the night. Let me ask you your thoughts on things.
That must hurt your knee to press the gas pedal. No?
It's my left knee.
Oh. Well, that's lucky.
But again, I'm not here doing this. I've been doing it for 24 years. But the people that are mine, I got it. You're here a year, you're here 6 months, you're here 2 years, I got it. You want your money, I got it. So do I. I got my daughters in the stock. My one daughter has a child. I don't want to see them lose money. They pay three something for it. What should I do? Quit because you're yelling at me? I don't really give a shit. I care about my family.
We can talk about Wolf after Ham goes off. I don't think he really wants to talk about it.
But listen, you had it at 70 cents if you followed us.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it now? I don't. When things move like that, I'm out. Take it easy. So I think it's going to go higher. Follow Bitcoin. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Nothing else, William? Because I don't need to.
No, there's no other questions. We'll finish up on a couple of ideas and then.
All right, that's it. Now we got another half hour. We'll be down.
You've got.
Where's finger motion?
Yeah, I was just going to tell you it. You got it at 191, 190. There's 13.5 to buy, and 700 to sell.
What's the market in the stock? 190.
190 by 191, 59,000 all day long.
They're gonna wash it.
Yeah, the last 5 trades: 100, 132, 100, and 250.
Whenever the spread is 1 cent, that means the seller and the buyer are the same people. And they're keeping it 1 cent because if they cross it at $1.90, it's sort of in a range that is legal.
I
If
see.
the stock was 190 to 195 and they crossed it at 190, I think that's a little too much down.
I see.
So that 1 penny, you're gonna say, wait, if the spread is a penny, we had to cross it here. If anyone questions them.
No one will.
Like,
No one will question them. No one cares.
I'm just saying, but that's how, I'm just trying to tell you that they've done this. It's so obvious what they're doing. When anybody saw a big bid, like for 50,000 shares yesterday at 190,
Yeah.
if we were trading, we would have taken all the stock right in front of them. And made the guy who bought who had to buy 50,000 shares to be paying $1.05 for it.
Yeah.
In today's world, you put a bid up, it's a spoof, and they just cross it. That's what they're doing. It's a make-believe. And they want you to hit it, because that would be the best thing in the world. If you hit it, then they wouldn't have to do the trade with themselves.
But they're 40-year-old guys without a girlfriend. They have no choice but to do it with themselves.
Listen, they're thieves. They know it. They got to worry about the Ansett Fund. They got to worry about savvy management. They got to worry about all the shit that we're talking about. There's plenty of stuff going on.
100 shares just went in between. 100 shares just went in between. 190.05.
As long as the 191 stays there, they're going to cross it. Because they need to wash the trades. I told you a couple of weeks ago, they're going to have to pick up the pace because they need to get that number down. So, all of a sudden, 50 yesterday, who knows what else they did yesterday. It was trading nothing yesterday. Like 59,000 shares trading in the stock that's what it should be.
They just did 800 at 190.01. And then they did 100 at 191, and now the bid dropped to 190. So they have 14.2 to buy and 200 to sell at 191 now, and the volume's 62,000.
It's just amazing. A stock that's so thin. There's really no stock in this company, and yet they're controlling it at 190. Hey, listen. You know the story. You make your own decisions. I believe that these guys are going to bust. They're either going to bust now or they're going to bust when the company goes public, when the company goes profitable. So the CEO will get in touch with William when he has time. The guy's in Asia. Think about what people demanding. The CEO, stop what you're doing. Get out here and tell us what's going on immediately. I would come back as the CEO and say, you know what? I'm breaking my ass. I'm flying all over the place. I'm not allowed to sell shares because if I do, the shorts will view me as a criminal. There'll be all kinds of posts about me. So what am I doing this for? The guy's a brilliant guy. He doesn't need to do this. What is he getting? Glory that he's the CEO of a company? No one cares. They're in it to make a difference and to get wealthy from it. That's why they're doing it. And they give up their life and their time. And think about it. I don't know how old that guy Martin Shen is. What is he, 50?
Yeah,
50.
yeah, he could be younger. He's a good.
Let's say he puts around with Figure Motion for another 3 years. He'll be 53, 54 years old. The short sellers, let's say, win after 3 more years of this nonsense. This guy was never able to sell his stock. He makes his salary, pays tax on it, and he basically wasted his time. Now he's got to go out and get another job. That's what happens. That's the destruction of the naked short. Over nothing. They have nothing to do with this company. They have nothing to do with China. Nothing. All they have in control of is the price of the stock and the shareholders. That's all they do. What do we say? It's the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah.
So the stock settlement system controls the public company. It has nothing to do with it. The DTC has nothing to do with the company can cure cancer now. But because of these loopholes, it controls the public company. And when the companies get in trouble and they wind up signing stupid documents like KNW and GMGI, the DTC is not going to help you. Hey, you shouldn't have signed a deal with these guys. But instead, they help facilitate all the illegal trades. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that XXII is 10 cents. I knew that company was $5, $6, maybe even higher. I guess it took about 6 years. They finally killed it. There you go, 10 cents. I mean, they killed it already, all the reverses.
Can you explain your thoughts on Wolf again?
The people in the company are brilliant, very smart people in that field. They built out Mara and Riot. So RIOT and Mara, these guys were the brains behind those two stocks. They left there and started their own company. Instead of using traditional power, they're using nuclear power. That's the key to this Bitcoin mining, is that. So these guys are going to be the leaders in it. I don't understand all the money raised and all this stuff, this debt and all that stuff. That's not out of my league. But that's what I know about the company. I pitched them on the shorts in the stock about Yorkville being bad people before. My friends paid off Yorkville, and the stock went from 60 cents to $5. That's all I know. And each stock, as you can see, trades 50 million shares a day. So it's hard for me to tell you what the hell's going on when stocks trade 50 million shares a day. That means everybody who owns a share sells it every day. They sell it and buy it back every day, sometimes twice a day. And the SEC doesn't look into the volume in these stocks, because that's where all the fraud is in the volume. And that's it, William, right? We got 3:36.
Yeah,
I got another 20 minutes. I'll be home, and I'll post up that Jeff Easton is a good guy. I like Jeff Easton. He pays me, and I have a good time, and whatever you want to say. I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore.
well, people are frustrated. I guess they.
Oh, no, listen. Oh, no, I'm not frustrated.
I don't know.
I only work 7 days a week at this stuff.
I mean, at least Jeff makes probably, I'm going to guess on every company he brings in, it's a multi-million-dollar payoff he gets as a kickback on each company. I don't know what Ham's making. Well, I do. I get the phone calls, but going to get, what do you call it? Dunkin' Donut coffee. And
I'm so cheap, I don't even put sugar in it anymore. People tell me, you got to boycott Dunkin' Donuts. I said, get out of here. My wife got me hooked on the stupid coffee. We're going to get rid of that too. Get lost. I got a bum leg. Want me to get rid of my coffee? I got to listen to the fat bastard Jeff Easton sent his friends over to yell at me here. Get out of here. I could care less.
At least you still have your mind.
CC. Call Gary Gensler. Call the guy Gray Wall before he leaves. Oh, he bolted already.
What would you?
Oh, I didn't insult Gray Wall, right? I put it up there. You said you're going to do fair. Even he left. We made fun of Gary Gensler. Yeah, no one cares about that. Like William said, all the tough guys that are yelling on you, we never see him at the SEC. I invited everybody down 50.
I just get frustrated. What else? I don't know what else to do. And I don't have a big enough audience to change the world. Frankly, I think if Ham went on the Jimmy Dore show, it wouldn't change anything because everybody's bought and paid for. It's like Patrick Burns says, it's a river of money, and no one wants to speak out against it.
All I can tell you is this, William. I showed everybody how you can day trade and make money, right?
You did, and I'm impressed that you called it on DJT. I tried to emphasize what you were saying, but from sort of 23 even, maybe a little lower, I think it was lower, it may be in the teens, but you were saying buy the dips, sell the rips. But then you were saying once you're out, you've got to watch the dip might be a different number. It's not going to come all the way back down again. You just got to get a feel for where the dip stops during the day. And it's a rhythm almost, I guess. But it's what you said is when it looks ugly, you buy it. And when it's prettier, you sell it.
That's it. You make a day's pay every day. Like I said, 100 a day, 500 a week, 2,000 a month. You know what? Let me make a couple of thousand a month. I go out to dinner every night. I never have to worry about what stock, who's doing what earnings. I could give a rat's ass. Every day it's a different name. And that's what I'm going to go back to. That's it.
They just did 1,356 shares at 1.9005, and they did 644 shares at 1.9005, and now they did 3,000 at 1.9005. So that's a total of 5,000 shares they got off, roughly.
So the bid is 190, correct?
Well, I gotta swirl my phone to tell you that. Yeah, 190 by 191.
So what they're doing is they're shorting and naked shorting all those shares in the middle there. They won't let it trade at 191 because there's only 700 there, right?
Yeah, and it is 5,000 shares just broken up three ways.
They're shorting them at 190 and a half.
Yeah.
Because they don't want it to trade at 191. Because if it trades at 191, then the offer would have to leave. So they're protecting the 700 or 200 shares, whatever's there.
Oh.
So they're just shorting it.
The offer is 100 and That's weird. 101. It's 100. So it must be 10,000. It's 13,300 by 10,000, I guess. It's 133 by 100. So I think that's 10,000 for sale, 13,000 to buy,
Yeah,
190 to 191.
I told you they're gonna wash it. It's just amazing. You can see them doing it. You can understand it.
There's no volume on the day, 68,000, and all of a sudden there's 13 to buy and 10 to sell. Come on.
Well, these are all prearranged trades, and they just keep doing it. I mean, listen, it's the SEC allows this to happen. Nothing to do with us. We can't do anything about it.
Oh, you're all lies. You're nothing but lies.
Jeff Easton, I have to say, it went as if Jeff Easton was on Epstein's Island. Will he be prosecuted?
What if he is Epstein?
What if he is Epstein? Did they help drag minors over the border? Jeffrey Epstein, but Jeff Easton, whatever the hell his name is. I don't know. Could be. I don't know. Is that true? I don't know.
Maybe he has a picture of Bill Clinton in a red dress.
Yeah. Maybe Jeff Easton was one of those guys getting raped at Diddy's parties. And that's why he's mad at the world and he's shorting everything. I don't know.
I think it's all a lot more simple.
Well, again, listen, William, hang up. Tell the people enjoy their day. You don't need to listen to nonsense. We have a lot of flack, as they say. People are trying to get you upset, and that's all they want to do. There's nothing to say. Everything's out there, and good luck. That's it.
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could get those people to do the movie on time. They were good people. They didn't do it. I wish I could get Gary Gensler to actually do some work for his massive salary and his bonus payoff he's going to get. But he doesn't.
Like Gary Gensler to do any work. All they wanted to come out and admit, hey, you know what? We got a lot of unsettled trades in this system. Just like the Economist said in 2011, June 2011, you know what? I think we got to fix this problem. Who's making all this money? Who's selling all this stuff? You know what?
Well, they want to. They're this bill that Kamala voted for. I forget the Orwellian name of it, but they're hiring a bunch of tax IRS officers to go after you. You know, and I assume all of us, not the wealthy. Kamala says it's paying the fair share, but they're going to ramp up getting taxes. What about these taxes? What about the $1 trillion, more than trillions, that get sold offshore? They never pay taxes. No one cares. They're going to go after your $600 Venmo. No one cares because Donald Trump grabs them by the yum-yum. I don't know. Our country it's stressful thinking about it.
Well, listen, I'm almost home. Listen, everyone, have a
All
great
right.
night.
Thank you. Everyone loves you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Call ended.
Let's on Wolf, let's try to do some sort of examination. My net reaction is it's not good. That's my reaction. But there's not enough information for that to be a fair what's this? I want this. Oh, yeah, I don't want to use that. So let's go down. Let's see, what can I use? Oh, I see. I can move it like that. All right. forget what I was looking. Isn't that terrible? 1/8. Unbelievable. All right, let's change that one to. Problem here is I'll have to still change it again, but we'll go here and we'll look up Wolf. WULF. TeraWulf. And see, they put out an 8K yesterday, and it says on October 23rd, TeraWulf. See, you can't see it. All right, so that means I have to go. I have to go here. I've got to. I do everything the slowest way possible. All right, so on October 23rd, TeraWulf issued a press release pricing. It upsized the offering, and it priced a private offering of $425 million. It's a very small interest rate, convertible notes in 2030. What's odd is it doesn't mean I'm right, but normally when a deal gets priced and it's upsized, they already know who is buying it. But it implies here that it will only be sold. It hasn't been, the acquirers haven't been identified yet. I don't believe that. I think this is just how it's written. So they granted the initial purchasers an option to buy more. So that's a green shoe. The company will raise 400 million, maybe as high as 500 million. This isn't good, but they're taking care of the problem. They're going to unwind a collar or a, what do you want to call it? They essentially sold calls against some of their output, and they clearly are underwater. They have a loss in that, or that might, I don't know if they have a loss, but they're using 51 million to buy that back. And they're buying it back because it's not a good trade to be in anymore. So that's too bad to me that they have to spend $51 million that way. But obviously, in their best judgment, it's better to go naked, which is how most companies are anyway, by the way, when they sell their wares. So the press release, that's what the press release says, and that's all this is. So my reaction to it is, well, let me show you the news story that Ham was home. We'll just get some news. Yahoo. Yeah, you can see that. Now, if I click this, you might not be able to see it. Oh. So let's go Wolf. Stock. Maybe Scott Titan, is that good? TeraWulf announced, you can't read that. Let me see if I can zoom in. TeraWolf announced the pricing of $425 million in a 2.75% convertible senior note. Qualified institutional buyers. I think that's a positive, because if they have some say-so and it goes to real institutional buyers rather than these criminal hedge funds that do the shorting, that's actually probably good news. The conversion price is $8.48. Hello? Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. Funny, someone just brought it to my attention.
All right, they're listening, if they
All
are
right,
listening.
so there's a company that the planes are falling out of the sky, the wheels fall off, the doors
Boeing?
fall off, and all their employees are on strike, and the stock doesn't go down. The people that work at Boeing can't believe it doesn't go down. How's that one?
That's probably a good one to buy puts on.
Actually, I would say the opposite, because if they're not letting it go down, if they go back, if they settle the strike, the stock will go up, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see.
So I'm just laughing. The people that work for Boeing that are on strike, my friend spoke to a couple of guys, they can't believe the stock is not below 100. That's what they said. And they
Plus, we might be going to war, so they would benefit there.
But they're all on strike.
Yeah.
All the employees are on strike. So there's nothing going on. How's that one? The planes have fallen out of the sky. The doors have fallen off. The wheels fall off. All right. So they got quality control problems. And on top of that, everybody's on strike. And the stock doesn't go down. Trigger Motion is doing business, trying to grow. And every time they say anything, their stock ticks down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they should go on strike. Anyway, I think you get a kick out of that. It's just something to think about. Hey, did they watch that stock yet?
No, it's 13,200 by 10,100. 190 by 191. Something traded at 69,000 shares, but it's nothing big. It's 107,
Yeah,
100, 405.
They're going to do it on the close. They'll do it on the close.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night. I just wanted to give
All
you
right.
the phone.
Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, on Wolf, the initial conversion price is $8.48 per share. I already talked. This 51 million they're going to spend. It's too bad they have to, but it's not the end of the world, and it's only 10% of the raise, so it might be a good thing. It's just you always kind of go, oh, too bad that didn't work out. But I guess it's good news that the price of their commodity is going up. Anyway, then they're going to repurchase shares, which I think is a great idea. I really like that idea, because those shares by definition have to come out of the marketplace and then go into the treasury. So they being the other side, the sellers of those shares, have to deliver real shares. So I think that's great. And the remainder for general corporate purposes. The notes include a conversion rate and a capped call transaction at 2080. Why would they cap it at 2080? If the price of the stock goes down? I don't know. I have to read. I'm not smart enough to figure that out right now. They're going to repurchase 18 million shares at $6.40 a share. I think that's great. But what I'm concerned about is the conversion formula. And why would they announce that they're buying it back at 640? That seems, I wouldn't announce that I'm buying it back at 640. Try to buy it cheaper. I don't know. I've got to read the prospectus. I don't know. When you read a press release, it doesn't give you everything. So the positives, according to Stock Titan, they've got they took in a bunch of money. They have strategic capped call transactions to reduce potential share dilution. All right, if they say so. I don't quite. It's beyond. I don't see that, but it doesn't mean I'm right. I'd like to see it written out in the small print. And it is positive, I think, buying $100 million worth of common stock. The negatives are additional debt obligation. I don't know that that's the case because the 51 million isn't giving them benefit, but they're able to buy back shares, which if the stock were to go up, they could then offer in an offering and make a profit for shareholders. But at a minimum, they're able to cause pressure on the shorts. Their per share earnings should start going up. I don't know. It seems a reasonable use of debt. Another negative, potential dilution if notes are converted to shares. Well, that's not really, that's already there. Any analyst is going to do fully diluted earnings per share. So that's already, that negative is already there. It's not a potential, it's a reality. But that's somewhat offset by the fact that they're bringing, what did they say, 20 million shares back into, almost 20 million shares back into their treasury. Significant cash outlay for capped call transactions. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think their negatives here are all that negative. I would say overall it's a positive raise. I just wonder what the formula is, and they didn't release it yet. So I'll keep my eye out for it. I'll read it, and we can go over it when it comes out. The notes will be convertible into cash. The conversion rate initially is 118 shares per 1,000. So it can change. That's not so good. The company may not redeem the convertible notes prior to 27. So their ass is hanging out the window. The company may redeem for cash all or any portion after 27. So they can be raped until then. I'm saying that. I don't know that for sure yet. I want to see the prospectus. If the last reported sale price, oh God, for 20 trading days. That's never going to happen. They're not going to let that happen. And we've got this fundamental change exchange clause as defined. Oh, God. That looks like a trap right there. In connection with the pricing of the convertible notes, privately negotiated capped call transaction with financial institutions. The cap price of the cap call transaction will initially be $12.80. That's 100% over the last reported sale price. The cap call transactions are expected generally to reduce potential dilution upon conversion. In connection with establishing their initial hedges of the cap call transaction, the company expects the option counterparties to purchase shares of the common stock or enter into derivatives. This activity could increase the market price In addition, the option counterparties may modify their hedge positions by entering into or unwinding various derivatives with respect to the common stock and/or purchasing or selling of the common shares, which could affect holders of convertible notes' ability to convert. The company they've already entered into it. They've already entered into transactions to repurchase 18 million shares from purchasers of the convertible notes in privately negotiated transactions effected concurrently with the pricing of the notes. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They're purchasing the shares. Guys, I can't figure that out. If they're doing this with the shorts are naked shares. And if they're purchasing naked shares, at 640, they're losing money. That doesn't make sense. I can't figure. I'm being slow here. That one guy said I was a smart ass. I think I'm just an ass. I'm not very smart when I'm reading this one. The convertible notes have not been registered. So they already bought the shares. So the issuers of the notes, in other words, the purchasers of the notes, not the issuers, the lenders of the money, they're lending 450 million, but simultaneously they're getting back 115 million in the form of the sale of stock back to TeraWulf. You know what? I forget who asked me the question. I will sit down with a yellow pad and paper and just go through the prospectus when it comes out. Hasn't come out yet. But either this is a really good deal because it's with institutions and it's going to set the company on a great path, or these really smart guys are being taken advantage of. And I don't know which it is right now. The last trades I see in Finger, 191 at 378 shares. They did 451 shares at 191. They did 274 shares at 190.05. So I forget who asked me about Wolf. I would say both. I'm too stupid to figure it out on the fly, and there's not enough information there for me to make sense out of it. I smell a rat, but I've got to think it through. I've got to think it through. It's a big raise. But they're buying shares rather than selling shares to the hedge fund. So that's not that's not helping out the shorts. Anyway, if I can beg off of giving you a definitive answer by saying I don't know, part of me says that I smell a rat, but another part of me is sensing that this might be a very good deal for shareholders because of its size, because they're buying back that cap, and because they're buying back shares. These are all potentially very good things. But I'm confused by it so far. So it's not very helpful to you, I know. Last wash. It's a boring day. I think Finger's about to have a snap up. I don't know how high, but don't count on it. I could be wrong. Could they be trying to get the price up to get the shorts bought in? I assume you're talking about Finger. Or maybe you're talking about Wolf. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know where to find out the information about the size of the short in Wolf. The counterfeit short, the bad short. But they've had time to get it under control. And this financing, convertible, this financing to me gives, depending on who is lending the money, gives a massive amount of stock as a hedge to the upside. And it talks about derivatives. So there could be derivative contracts written that make sure the guys lending the money have no risk, and that they can, I just have to look at the formula. I just really have to look at the formula. And I don't know how high Wolf was before this deal got done. They might have been selling shares in the open market. I'm sorry. I'm just I'm drawing a blank with. To me, I feel like I don't have enough information. Yeah, that's on Finger. I think Finger looks like it's going to go up. I think, Joe, buying back shares is a good thing, but they're buying those shares from the issuer of the convertible note. Well, I guess they're the issuer. They're buying it from the lender, the purchaser of the convertible note. I'd much rather they were buying the shares in the open market. Yeah, we can go look at Newmont. We can go look at Newmont. And Danny, I meant to tell him about that, by the way. I think that's great. A lot of you guys, you're gonna be rich. I'm gonna have to call you sir. Yeah, let's look and see what happened to Newmont. Yeah, you're right. They're down. Jason, you're right. Down 8. Well, no, down 15%. Just off the bat, I would say that pullback is giving you a great chance to buy the stock. Of course, no one knows how much lower it will go. All right, lag estimates. Misses, stock seeking alpha. Let's see if I can read Barron's. It'll probably say I can't. No, I can read it. All right, let's see what Barron's says. I'll zoom in one more time. Okay. So Emily Datillo wrote this article at 10:25 this morning for Barron's. Shares of Newmont were tumbling after the gold miner turned in disappointing quarterly results. Late Wednesday, Newmont reported third quarter earnings of 81 cents. See, that's the whisper number, 86 cents. So, Jason, to me, what's the big diff? 81 cents versus 86 cents. Still a big number. But I guess the boys and girls that manage your money on Wall Street, this is, oh no, I better get out. I think it's an opportunity to buy more shares. But anyway, revenue of 4.61 billion was below the consensus estimate of 4.67 billion. So they made revenue of 4.61 billion and estimates were 4.67 billion. So they missed by what? $150 million out of almost 5 billion. I think this is an overreaction. All right, so capital expenditures net of capital accruals soared. All right, you would expect that capital expenditures would soar. Why? Because gold prices are up and they've probably ramped up mining. Also, oil is up. Mining is a very energy intensive business. So from a year ago, gold is, I'm going to approximate, but I think gold is up 25%, 30%. It might be more than that from a year ago. So I would imagine, well, there you go. There's the number right there. The average realized gold price in the quarter was $2,500 per ounce versus $1,900 a year ago. So $600, I can't do that in my head, but that, well, let me do it on my calculator. Yeah, 31% increase in gold prices. Gold looks like it's breaking out. So I assume they're just, this capital expenditures number is 877 million versus 600. I assume we're going to find out they're drilling for more gold. So Newmont stock fell to $54. It's on track for its largest daily decrease since February. Now look at that. Sorry, Jason. Look at that. The shares are up 40% this year. So I just think it's an opportunity for some of these people managing money to have an excuse to take a profit. I think they're going to regret having sold the stock. All right, in the third quarter, Newmont delivered 2.1 million gold equivalent ounces. And look what they delivered 760 million in free cash flow in a quarter. It's amazing. Tom Palmer said the company is on track to meet production guidance for 2024 and expects to deliver attributable production of 1.8 million gold ounces at an all-in sustaining cost of $1,500 per ounce in the fourth quarter. And if you're in love with Emily Datillo, or if you want to write and find anything out about any of her stocks, you can get to her at emily.datillo@dowjones.com. She did a good job. She did a good job reading about it. I'm not worried, Jason. Let's see if somebody else has a comment. More news. Let's see. Seeking Alpha. All right, let's see what mining.com says. Let's see what mining.com says. Always a wiener. Always a wiener. Newmont shares drop as cost struggles undermine gold profits surge. October 23rd. Newmont Corp shares had their biggest decline in more than 2 years after investors soured on earnings results. And the results suggest that the top gold producer is struggling to control mining costs and capitalize on surging bullion prices. I think that's a bunch of hogwash. Look at that truck. That's in that picture is either turned around or that's in Australia. That's in somewhere where they drive on the other side of the road. Shares fell 9%. Newmont fell short of expectations after spending more to dig up precious metals in Australia, Canada, Peru, and Papua New Guinea. The Denver-based company is the first major gold producer to post results in an earnings season where investors have been anticipating bumper profits. Gold is among the best performing metals this year, surging 30%. Quote, the street expectations were too high, said Kerry McRory at Canaccord Genuity. Quote, it was negative, no doubt, but I don't think it's as negative as what the market is telling us today, unquote. Well, I think Kerry's right. He or she, I think, is correct. Despite the missed expectations, Newmont posted its highest quarterly profits in 5 years, raking in $922 million in net income. All right, so Jason, this might be part of it, but it is, it is what it is. Gold miners have struggled with higher labor and energy costs over the past few years. Newmont said its capital expenses rose 10%, attributable to expansion projects in Australia and Argentina. But of course, gold price is up. Why wouldn't they expand production? But some of the company's higher expenses came from major assets. It picked through a takeover of Newcrest mining. So they had higher costs in Papua New Guinea. Port Moresby, don't you know? I had a chance to visit Papua New Guinea. I was too busy working. The higher expenses are largely attributable to specific operational issues at Newmont mines, according to McCrary. We don't see the cost miss as inflation read through to the broader industry. I don't know. I think it's not, Jason, I think it's an opportunity to buy the stock. That's what I think. Let's see if we can see a chart. It's a pretty sharp sell-off. I will say that's a pretty sharp sell-off. Nasty, nasty. Nasty, nasty sell-off. That is tight. Is there another way to look at this? Is there another way? There ain't no way. There ain't no way. I don't know. This, I guess, became an area of resistance for some reason. Not quite. Not quite there. Maybe this was an area of resistance. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know why that technically is pulling back, but this has been a pretty impressive move in Newmont since May. Under $30. And I don't remember, Jason, when I first mentioned it to you guys, but so I'm not going to say it was in the 30s. I just don't remember, but I've been talking about Newmont being one of the best gold mining companies to own for months, if not last year. I don't remember. And it's not about, I'm not trying to say I was right or anything, but this is a pretty impressive move, almost without a correction. I mean, these are small corrections, obviously, in here, and that's a pretty significant one right there. But there hasn't been anything like this in Newmont mining for a while. And I guess, Jason, if you're looking to buy, and I don't think you're going to get a chance, but if you want to buy this stock underneath the market, that's where I would put it, 47.50. I don't think you're going to get another chance. I think this selling is knee jerk, and I think it's going to rally back. But man, I really could be wrong on that. I think this is a complete overreaction. So, Jason, I guess what I would say, if you're trying to add to your position, put an order in at $47.50, $48. Maybe you'll get it. Or just go ahead and buy here, or buy some of it here. But I would fully expect this stock to go back to, it won't go right away. Anytime you have a heart attack, it takes a while. But I think more quickly than you could believe, let's say within weeks rather than months, I think it'll be back to $57, $58. And I think that all-time high of $77, that's going to come up on you like a Mack truck when you're walking down the highway in the dark. That stock's going to new highs, but nothing goes straight up. So the pullbacks are healthy. You're just shifting stock from weak hands to strong hands. And I think it probably needs to build a base here, a little bit of a stair step, so the market can put its footfall, put its weight on that step, and raise the price to $77. That's where it's going. This will be $100 stock in your portfolio. Yeah, it's not going to be like AMC or GME. This move from May is amazing. From $30 to $60, that's a double. It's incredible. And so that's why the sell-off came. They have computers. They don't really have people. And the computers see the earnings miss or the revenue miss, and they're on trigger wires, these computers, and they just immediately sell the stock just in case it's going to collapse. But I think tonight and tomorrow morning, as analysts start talking to their clients, and as the human being looks at the results, I fully expect this stock is going to go back up. But I don't think it's going to get to $60 in a heartbeat. And in fact, There could be some further selling. You never know, but I wouldn't count on it. And if anything, it'll go back in that 53, 54 range and go sideways for a while. But I think Newmont's a $100 stock. And I think it's a blue chip stock. Gold prices are volatile. Gold prices could be ready for a pullback. But if you believe in the gold thesis, and I do, Newmont's as good as it gets. There's only a handful of companies you can say that about. And Newmont is where all the big boys and girls are going to go as money starts flowing into the gold space next year. So, yeah, I unless you've got a reason to use your money elsewhere, I would use this pullback as an opportunity to buy more if that's your strategy. Obviously, I can't give you personal financial advice. And I don't think I'd sell Newmont. There's no way I'd sell it before it got to $100. I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't sell it then. Anyway, enough about Newmont, huh? Probably bored with me talking about it. You have the 70 calls? On which one? On DJ. No. Sorry, I'm all confused. That's not the strike price. You're talking about Finger, 5,000 shares and 70 calls. I think that's good. I think my read on Finger is it's going to have a snapback rally, but that's like sitting in the stands at a baseball game and bases are loaded and Cal Ripken's up and you say he's going to ground out or he's going to hit a home run. I mean, you don't know for sure. Yeah, it's up 30% for the year. That's right. And look at the year over year. I think it's great. Let me see what your point is. Dopes on the street can issue expectation. Yeah, that's right, Jason. I think that's an aspect of it. And that's what Ham always talks about, how Wall Street's about pen. It's about more than that. And so they can cause these sell-offs, get retail to sell, and accumulating. I wouldn't be shaken out of Newmont. I really. Did you read? I don't want to pull it up again, but you probably have it there. But did you read their guidance for next quarter? They're going to mine. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Did they say 1.5 million ounces? Whatever their projection was for the fourth quarter, they said they're on track to hit it. That's great. That's just great. All right, I'm in the stock and have been. This should have been NVIDIA style earnings blowout. Yeah, that'll come one day. That'll come one day. But Jason, I think there's a couple of positives. I already gave you one. They're projecting their next quarter. They're going to do what they say they're going to do or said they're going to do. But also they're digesting this big acquisition. So that really ramps up their ability to produce and have that blowout quarter at some point. But they're still digesting the cost of that acquisition. I didn't look closely enough, but I assume some of those costs are one-offs or they're write-offs and they won't repeat. If they're experiencing increased labor and increased energy costs, everybody is. I would say the negative I saw there, and I'm doing it by memory, I think they said their cost per ounce was $1,275 all in. That's pretty high. If that, and you can check it, I might be wrong, but pretty high number. But I mean, gold that I think is headed to 3,600. Like, I don't know, could be by Thanksgiving. If we go to war, gold could be 5,000. So I think it's all right. Yeah, I don't blame you for being disappointed, but I personally don't think you would have sold. And if you had sold, if it had been good news, I think you would have missed out. That stock's on its way to 100 and probably much higher. I'm not putting a time frame on that, but Newmont will be $100 stock, and you shouldn't be selling it here. It could pull back, of course, and it has. But I think that I bet tomorrow's Friday, so maybe it'll be Monday. But I bet that stock is going to snap back somewhat. And if I had to guess, you've seen the lows on that news. But hey, I'm making predictions that are gut predictions. It doesn't mean they're right. It worries you near term for other miners. Well, yeah, except that's a fair concern, except that other miners didn't just acquire whatever that was, Newcrest Mining, and other miners don't have a cost per ounce close to $1,500. They might. Yeah, it's a concern, but Jason, I think in the mining space and in the gold, precious metals, in ETFs, you got to be careful of those. I think the party's just beginning, and they'll try. It'll be volatile, but I think the party's just beginning. I think gold is going to probably, I don't know, 3,500, 3,600 by January. It's just in the middle of a breakout. That's what's happening. It's breaking out. And silver, I think, is going to double. And it's too bad. I wouldn't mind owning some silver. And I've been saying that, and it keeps going up. But anyway, speaking of silver, I want to read something to you, Jason, if you have a second. I haven't read it yet, but it's an article. Ooh, there's your president. There is your president. Smart, wicked smart, 1,000-watt smile. She cares about you. And I'll tell you what, she has read 1 or 2 books this year. All right, this is what I wanted to read to you, Jason, and everybody else. This is by Adam Sharp, and it was posted yesterday. Silver, the A-bomb, and Russia. During a critical stage of the Manhattan Project, there was a problem. The organizers had figured out a way to enrich uranium using electromagnets, but it was highly resource intensive. Thousands of tons of copper were needed to create electromagnetic coils, but the metal was in short supply because of its use in weapons production. Copper was needed for shell casings, coatings, wiring, and other things. Thus, the leaders of the Manhattan Project decided to borrow 300 million ounces of silver. And I just read about that in this book called The Story of Silver. I just read about that. They, anyway, they did what they say here. They borrowed it. They never really replaced it, though. And the Treasury was required to hold silver against, well, it had been required to hold it against the silver certificate, but I don't know when that changed at some point. And I just read the book over the last week and I can't remember. But anyway, so they decided to secretly borrow 300 million ounces of silver from the Treasury. And listen to this: as the most conductive metal in the world, silver was the ideal material for the job. It made for highly efficient wire coils, which created the powerful magnetic fields needed to separate and enrich uranium. In all, 14,700 tons of US silver was melted down and forged into massive electromagnetic coils used to build the nation's nuclear arsenal. Nearly 1% of the entire nation's electric capacity was directed toward these efforts, and the silver coils ensured efficient use of that electricity. Needless to say, the project was successful at killing people, and by 1970, the silver was returned to the Treasury Department. All right, so they did return it. That's what I couldn't remember. I just thought there was some, anyway, okay. In a strange way, America's silver reserves played a role in ending World War II, which set the stage for America's ascent to premier global superpower. Without silver, the war effort would have been delayed. All right, so that's one point Adam wanted to make. His next point: silver breaks out as Russia buys. And I pointed that out to you guys, that Russia was buying. Adam Sharp. Silver coinage in the United States ended in 1965, and by the late 1970s, America had sold off all of its silver reserves. Today, well, now he's skipping from the United States to, I guess, all nations. He says today nations no longer hold silver as a monetary or strategic asset. I will say from my readings and you can see my memory's not always good, but my readings of books, articles, and short little blurbs, there is no silver reserve in the United States anymore. So until the Russian government announced it would begin adding silver to its precious metal reserves. This is fascinating. Russia certainly is isolated from the West, but within the BRICS and Global South, Russia's influence has never been greater. Russia is playing a leading role in getting back at the Western banks for destroying the ruble in the late 90s by building the BRICS alternative to the dollar-based monetary system. It has no choice. Wisely, Kamala Harris and her administration has cut Russia off from the SWIFT system. There's a good chance other countries will follow Russia's example and begin building their own strategic silver stashes. I'm telling you guys, anything under $50 in silver is cheap. Silver is going to 80, 90, even 100 before it has a meaningful pullback, but it's never pulling back to below 30. It's probably never pulling back to below 35. It's a shame that it's moving so quickly. I wish one of our stocks had made us money, because that's all I wanted you guys to do was buy silver. It's what I wanted to do. But anyway, there's still time. There's still time. And you've got to start thinking in terms of not the dollar value of silver, although right now the dollar still has utility, but how many ounces of silver do you own? How many ounces of gold? Whether if you own miners, you can sit down with a pad and a pencil, and you can try to calculate how many shares of silver or gold, ounces, sorry, you own through the mechanism of the shares. But anyway, at some point, not right away, but at some point, whatever ounces you own will be far more valuable than the dollars, than the currency that it's currently trading in. So it's almost hold your nose and pay any price. That's how I feel about silver right now. It makes sense for nations to build reserves of silver, bullion. Silver can come handy in a pinch. Most nations have a strategic oil reserve. Every serious central bank has gold reserves. Why not silver? Indeed. Why not other minerals? In today's technological world, silver is more important than ever. It is critical for building advanced electronics, batteries, solar panels, medical supplies. And wait, there's more. It's good in Ginsu knives commercials. Modern weapons require silver. Modern weapons require silver to operate at the highest level. Can you say hypersonic missiles, which we spent $7 trillion under Obama and George W. $7 trillion, and now through Biden we're spending even more on wars, but we don't even have a hypersonic missile. Did we spend our money wisely? We were spreading democracy. I forgot. That's right. Spreading democracy. We don't even have democracy at home. How many delegates did Kamala Harris earn in this primary season? I'll give you a second to look it up. You can Google it. How many delegates did in this democratic system, based on primary campaigns, did Kamala Harris earn to become the Democratic nominee for president? I'll let you look that up. So modern weapons require silver to operate at the highest level. When precision and efficiency truly matter, silver is the clear choice. Following Russia's announcement, it is not a coincidence that silver is broken out to 12-year highs. Drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. It's just like the girl I fell in love with. She drives me crazy. I don't mean maybe. So I can't show you any lines here, but silver broke out here. It broke out at 25.26. And you're saying no shit. You're right about that. I'm not making any great observation. It broke out at 27.50, then it pulled back, broke out again, and then it had a pullback where? Right to 27.50. So right here, resistance, you wore down my resistance to be. I've got a crush on you, sugar pie. All right, so right here, I can't draw any lines, but basically resistance is 27.50. So it comes up here, it breaks through once, and then it pulls back, and then it was so strong it broke through again, tried to come down, the shorts, by the way, it's heavily shorted. It rallied, and then they had their way with it. And guess where their efforts to sell it off ended? The resistance became support, 27.50, and it bounced off that, tried again, and then this time, once, twice, 3 times a lady. And I can't draw the line, but you can see it here, right about here. And I would say that's $31, but I can't tell. Might be a little higher. That was the short-term resistance, once, twice, 3 times a lady. And then it went through, it pulled back, and that level became support. I'm going to say it's 31.25. I don't know. And so it's broken out, and I think it's going to go straight up from here. I don't think there's going to be a pullback. But if it does pull back, it'll be to this 31, 31.5 range, or maybe just to 32. But silver is breaking out, boys. As you see, silver broke through its resistance. I think that's the one I'm thinking about. Oh, that is the one. How glad the many millions of Annabelles and Lillians would be to capture me. But you had such persistence, you wore down my resistance. I fell, and it was swell. I've got a crush on you, sweetie pie. So anyway, silver broke through resistance around 32.50 with gusto. With gusto. In silver, so much bigger than 2011, I explained, and this is Adam Sharp, how the fundamentals for silver demand already looked excellent before Russia's announcement. Now we have the possibility of national buyers jumping on board. This could create massive demand. And as we have seen with gold's recent run, which is almost entirely driven by central banks, There's no finish to that sentence. In contrast, silver's bull run so far has been driven primarily by industrial. But as I argued in my last article, if investment demand will grow rapidly from here. In the United States, inflation expectations are soaring and searing. The Fed is back in its easy money mode, and investors are finally beginning to sense that Kamala Harris is going to be their president, and more money is going to be printed. Silver is a tiny market compared to gold, and that's what I say. All it takes, and that's why it's so urgent to get in now, all it takes is a sheikh, a bake, a king, a queen, an oligarch, a billionaire, a country, a company like Tesla. Hey, we want to build our cars, and we're going to build a stockpile of silver. A company like Apple. Anyway, it just takes one decision by somebody that has a ton of capital to deploy, and they say, we want to buy silver. Silver is so small as a market. I'm talking about the physical market. JP Morgan, which is weird, Jamie Dimon has slowly over the years gotten JP Morgan to be one of the largest holders of physical silver. But I believe when he purchased Bear Stearns, I think it was Bear Stearns, anyway, when he went to the top of JP Morgan, I believe he found out what a dire predicament Morgan was in with shorts in silver. Blythe Masters is her name. I'll find an article about her and I can read it to you at some point. But the paper market, silver is massively manipulated. All you have to know, there's no above ground reserves in the United States. Every asset in the United States, every asset is overvalued in this everything bubble, except John's platinum and silver. Everything else is at new highs or higher. Everything. There isn't anything trading under its all-time highs, except for silver. Maybe platinum, I don't remember. It's going to catch up like a son of a bitch. Silver is a tiny market compared to gold. A small amount of additional investment demand may upset the balance and send prices higher. If we see nations buying silver along with expected additional investor demand, the result could be explosive. If we get a significant economic recession, silver could fall temporarily, attributable to lower industrial demand. That's probably true, but if we're at war, that's not true. I think silver is going to run. I think it's going to go to 90. It might not quite get there. Then it's volatile. There'll be pullbacks on the way up. But I do think when the stock market, whether it's next year or the following year, but I think it'll be sooner rather than later, the market is kind of like the roadrunner running off a cliff. It's hanging up there, but the hard reality of the economy, worldwide economy, is down below. When the market suddenly realizes that it should fall, it's going to, and it'll be rapid, and it'll scare the heck out of you. And there'll be margin calls and people will sell everything, including their mother. Well, they might sell their wife's mother first. And yeah, you could see corrections in everything: oil, silver, copper, gold. But my point, what I'm trying to get across about silver is I don't think silver's coming back to $30 ever again in this run. Maybe 31, 32. And if you want to call that 30, all right. But we're not going to get back down to these numbers. It was sitting there for the taking at $15, at $20, at $25. I don't think you're going to see that again. And so if it punctures through and runs, and this guy's right, it could fall temporarily. But the question in that sentence is,
going to spend all day streaming college football on DirecTV? Can you blame them? They've got the biggest rivalries.
And bowl games. Speaking of, Frank, run a snack to the bowl of chips. Bobby,
what the heck is going on? What is that? Anyway, the point is, I think the correction in silver will come from a much higher number, not from here. So even though the silver is up, and it, particularly if you don't own any, and I cannot give you financial advice, but if you want to be in it, I just think you got to buy it. And maybe don't buy all, but I think you should buy all. I think you should buy all, and if it pulls back, hopefully you have some more money to add to your position. But I'm just really telling you, I think it's going to go through 50 like a warm knife through butter. Yeah, 40 will slow it down. And 50, it'll probably have a pullback. But once it gets through 50, it's going to scream to 70, 80, 90. And when it pulls back, I don't think it'll be below 50. So I really just think you got to try to, as much as you can't stand it, you're buying something that's going up. If you're buying silver for the longer term reason that we have a financial reset coming, that we have financial crises coming, that there's going to be an adjustment in the value of the dollar, which, by the way, the dollar could go up first, although I think it's about to go down now. But it could go up next year if there's a financial crisis, because people are going to run to the dollar. So I'm talking about an overall theme, not the day to day, not the week to week, not even the month to month. But there's going to come to a time where you can't even buy silver. And then silver is going to be $1,000 an ounce. I think it's going to be, I think at its peak, it's going to be 1-for-1 with gold. And I know that makes me sound like a loony. You are a loony. You have a pet fish named Eric. Yes, I picked him out of the thousands. He's an halibut. A what? An halibut. You have a pet fish. You have a pet halibut named Eric. You are a loony. All right. But in Adam Sharp's view, a lower industrial demand should be offset by the increase in investment demand as central banks are forced to respond to the slowdown with quantitative easing and other inflationary policy. Silver looks fantastic as a long-term investment. Personally, I don't plan on selling before it's in the triple digits. All right. I'd like to see this I'd like to see this article. Metal Mania. This is September 21. Uber drivers. I think I read this to you. Yeah, look at this. A 2023 survey showed that 71% of the hardworking financial advisors in this country recommended an allocation of under 1% to gold. Only a third, less than a third of financial advisors had 5%. 71% of advisors at 1% of gold, 27% at 5%, 10% only 2%. And there's no financial advisors telling you to own 10% or more. Personally, I think you should own more. Central bankers are buying gold in droves. Turkey, biggest buyer. India, Poland. Do you know that Netanyahu is from, and I think his name was Mikolovsky? He changed his name to Netanyahu, but Netanyahu was born in Poland and moved to Israel, I think as a young adult. Anyway, China is a big buyer. I don't know who Sofaz is. I don't know who that is. Czech Republic, Qatar, Iraq, Oman, the Kyrgyz Republic, Uzbekistan, Jordan, Russia, Serbia. Cabo Verde is selling. Oh my gosh. Germany has sold. Singapore has sold. Caraco and Saint Martin have sold. Thailand has sold, and the Philippines has sold. There's no sign of central banks slowing down their buying on time anytime soon. This is important to note. We don't get data on Russia or China. I personally think both those countries, they mine a lot of precious metals, but I also think they're buying. I think when the reset comes, China wants to own more gold than the United States. That's my opinion. And Russia maybe too. The US dollar has been the international reserve asset. It eclipsed gold in the 90s and remains dominant today, but the trend has turned around. The gold as a percent of international reserves is climbing. The dollar is falling. This is a monumentally important trend. De-dollarization is beginning to happen. It's been going on for a while. Thanks for noticing. But it's accelerating. I don't know. I think we'll have time. Central banks aren't switching to the renminbi or the euro. They're switching to gold. It's re-goldification on a massive scale. The era of fiat dominance may well be in its twilight years, and good riddance. Being home to the world's reserve currency has hollowed out the United States manufacturing base and caused spending to spiral out of control. All of this helps confirm that we are still early on precious metals. Fed printing is cranking back up. QE will reignite, and its scale will dwarf previous episodes. A stimulus program might be in the works as well. Gold and silver are absolutely crucial aspects of a modern portfolio. And are wildly underowned by investors. In the next 5 years, we will see a number of sovereign debt crises and or sustained inflation above 10% in many countries. The piles of government debt are growing out of control. Lower interest rates will cut debt servicing costs. But a side effect might be higher inflation. No matter which path we choose, the piper is going for our past excess. Eventually, we will experience a true metal mania. I suspect it will begin when gold hits 3,000. We're almost there. We're almost there. And silver breaks out above 49.45. All right, I said $50. It's 1980 all-time high. Everyone will be buzzing. Bzz, 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 bzz. Your friends, neighbors, and colleagues. And it will be glorious. Fortunately, we're not there yet. We still have time to prepare. We may get a pullback. I think we already have in silver, and I think we've already had it in gold. But then again, we may not. Let's see what Egon is saying. The end of U.S. economic and military empire and the rise of gold. I think I already read this to you. Maybe I didn't. It's a long article. I'll save it. We'll do it again. We'll do it tomorrow. Global gold stocks, 17 trillion. Central banks own 3 trillion. Currently, no gold buying in the West. That's what I want you to get out in front of. And I wish Finger had worked, GTI had worked, something had worked to give you a lot of money. But we're running out of time to wait for the stocks to work. So we have to start establishing positions. Worst case, if we own a bit, as it goes up, we can add to our position, and our cost basis will always be underneath the current price, and we'll feel good. But you got to get in. As Charlie Munger said, bet big when you have the odds. Yeah, I want to read this. I want to read this article, but I'll do it tomorrow. All right, so up here you can see the gold price is pretty high. You can also find it here. You can also find it here. Let me zoom in. Here's gold, 2,736, up $19. Silver is now $34. It just pisses me off. So gold is up versus the United States dollar over the last 6 months. It's up 16%. Over 5 years, it's up 81%. There's the gold chart. Palladium, let's go to John's platinum. See, platinum, John's right. Platinum is not at its all-time high either. Let's look at palladium. Palladium is. So John's right about platinum. So that's another one. All right. I think I'm going to sign off because I bet I've put everybody to sleep. Let me see if there's any questions from Jason. Let me stop that screen. Jason says, I've had a great year with precious metals. Palladium doing well as well. By the way, everybody out there, I don't think everyone's watching, but the small gold companies, some of you have asked me, and I've gotten frustrated at times because I really can't say anything. I did learn yesterday that, look, the offering we did essentially ended. However, one large investor came in, I guess, over the last few days. And then I know of another. So the point is, we're very close in that, and I say we as a shareholder, we're very close to being fully funded to move forward with production, testing first, and then production, hopefully, in that project. And the guy, the metallurgist, is really excited. He's off the wall, excited to get going. So I'll try to do an update on it, probably a Zoom call rather than do it out publicly. But the good thing for the shorts out there, the company, some people think technically is still a public company. I'm skeptical, but it doesn't matter. My point is the shorts can't harm us. The shorts cannot harm us, which is great. That's just fantastic. So I'm really excited about that. I studied the nuclear trade, and it will be a massive gain. I don't know. I'm really, Jason, I would, and I'm not going to talk about it very long right now, but I would love to someday be able to finance or to get someone to finance a study into what was the energy system that they used when they built the pyramids, when they built the massive structures around the globe. When that civilization was a global civilization, what energy system did they use? Was it sound? Was it vibration, which might be the same thing? Was it the Earth's core? Was it the magnetism? Where does the idea of flying carpets come from? Was it did the pyramids somehow create an electric grid around the atmosphere that you could tap into? I don't know. I would love if we could find another source of energy, because I don't think nuclear energy is safe. What's the big fat zero? Oh, any what that haven't made their highs? Yeah. Silver has to be the most shorted equity commodity in existence. Yes. That's correct. I think that's correct. I don't know exactly how you would define that, because the oil business is very similarly manipulated. At any one time, there can be a huge short position. Gold is screwed with. But I think one of the websites I used to follow daily has disappeared. But one of the concepts was that silver is the silver bullet that will take down the Western banking system, that banks like JP Morgan will collapse. And I think Vladimir Putin remembers what JP Morgan and other banks did to the ruble in the late 90s. And I think he knows what silver can do to JP Morgan. Except for silver, platinum, and finger. Yeah. I think finger, I haven't felt it that finger was going to go up, but when I look at the chart right now, I think finger has a snapback move in it. And I really do believe finger, the fundamental story is going to catch up very quickly, but the shorts don't go away. We have to fight that so massively. And I don't know what happened to the movie. I don't know why I spent that day. I lost so much money that day. Devastating amount of money to me, because I went down to be interviewed for that movie. And then guys accused me that somehow I'm part of some, like there was something wrong with that. It's not something I control. I worked on it. And saying I was promoting it. I never promoted the movie. I did say I was impressed with those people. I don't know what they're going to say in the movie. I think I've been pretty clear with all you guys. I've walked the halls of Congress, and I don't think anyone in Congress gives a twit about this problem. I think the lobbyists are there ahead of us. Goldman Sachs is there. Ken Griffin is there. I want to look something up about Ken Griffin. And I might as well do it with you. Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin. He's worth $35 billion. His grandmother, Geneva Gratz, inherited an oil business. His spouse is Catherine Weingart. The Gratz Center. So his Oh, anyway. All right, I found out what I wanted. I found out what I wanted. All right, I want to get out of here. Okay, bought 500 silver coins several months ago. Julie, you're the best. So you paid 36, so you must have purchased them under $30. I don't know what the premium is now. Good for you. Good for you. Don't open the box. Thank you, Ryan. I get annoyed with the haters, but I also get annoyed with just how ineffective this all is. And I get annoyed with the repetitiveness of it. It's just endless. And we'll get there. We'll get there. Comfy sofa. I'm running behind, but the director did an interview. Apparently, the film is stuck at the moment because some woman who backed it has been compromised. Was she sitting down or? That's too bad. That's too bad. She wants to be paid off or bought out. So she's holding the whole project hostage. And these guys are telling me that I more lies or something. I don't know. Hey, Jennifer. Good to see you. Are silver ETFs a good investment? Lance, the silver ETFs are not a good investment. They're a good trading vehicle, probably. If you call, let me show you one. There's only one you should buy if you're going to buy one. For investment. This one. I don't know if you see that. This is the only one if you're buying more than one. NAV is 1173. It trades underneath it. It's huge, 6 billion. I remember when it was much smaller. But look how many ounces of silver he has. He actually has the silver. The silver is fully allocated silver bullion. It is redeemable for the metal content. They have storage and it's liquid. There's a fee, it's not, I wouldn't consider that cheap, but what are you going to do? The trustee is RBC. So here's here's their list of silver bars they own. It's as transparent as can be. It goes page after page, of course. So anyway, when you buy it, he buys physical silver and it's stored and it's allocated and it's numbered and it's all transparent. So and you can redeem it. You can submit a request for your physical bullion. So anyway, that's the one that I would, the ETF, that if you're buying for an investment, it's PHYS. PHYS for gold and PSLV. PSLV for silver. He's got a platinum one, SPPP. And he's also got CEF, which is gold and silver, CEF. He's got one for uranium and one for copper. If I had to pick one out of all of these, I would do the silver one. But he gives you a handful. He also has, now, he also has a miners ETF, but let me pull out of here. Just talk to you. He's got ETFs of miners. His are probably good. The mining ETFs, probably the best is God, my brain. GDX, I guess it is, the gold miners. But then there's the junior gold miners ETF. And the odd thing about the junior is it's not much different than the bigger one because of asset allocation. As they raise more money, that'll change. But the thing to watch out for, Lance, in the ETFs that are run by, I don't know, BlackRock, all these big companies have the ETFs. They actually have pay per ounces of silver, pay per ounces of gold. And that's where they go in to hide the fraud in the metals market. That's where the counterfeiters go to trade and borrow. And it's all a rigged game. And it works for as long as it works. If there's a financial crisis and a bank goes down or a market, an exchange closes, these ETFs could be worthless or they could owe money. So if you want to trade them, they're a trading vehicle like GDX or I forget that other one, JDX. Anyway, you can get a list of the ETFs and trade them. But if you want an investment, a silver ETF, the one to own is PSLV. Elon is the Einstein of our generation. Just ask him. No, I think Elon's pretty smart. I think he's got a lot of backing, which allows him to implement things in a big way. But I think as important to being smart is Elon. Well, he's tall. Amber Heard liked him. I guess that's important. But I also think he's almost fearless at looking where the data, what's the conclusion? What does the information tell you? we now live in a world of, I'm not picking on women, but it's a womanism world. It's a feminist world. We we're living our own truth. I'm expressing how I feel it. This is the truth to me. Well, that's all great. I'm sure it's good in school and it's good in therapy and it works with certain simp boyfriends. But when you're dealing with how much oil's left in the world, how many elephants are killed every year? Are there enough tigers left to even have a tiger population? Are the 1,000 chemicals in our food, according to RFK, are they really bad for us when in the EU you can't use those chemicals? These are real things, they're facts, and you can't live it. It's my lived experience. It's my lived truth. All of that, makes your brain hurt. Makes your brain hurt. I'm sure it's all good. I'm sure it's good to look at the world that way. But I think Elon's good at seeing what the data tells him and being courageous enough to act on it. And I think that's his big advantage in this current world. There's very few people willing to suss the truth as much as we are able to understand it and then act on it. It's all about hurt feelings and bullshit things like patriarchy, whatever the hell that means, and I don't know, drive you crazy. I wish garbage could be used for energy somehow. It can be, Jennifer. Jimmy Dore did a thing on it. I didn't read it yet, but apparently recycling is all a fraud. But garbage can be used for energy. And in fact, a lot of the garbage that we throw in gives off methane. And I think they've come up with ways to burn the methane off of dumps for energy. And I'm totally against nuclear power. However, I'm starting to be convinced because of a gentleman I met in Denver and because of someone I know. She works, the people she's told, I listen to her. She probably doesn't think I do. These I can't believe there's small nuclear fusion, but that's apparently there. I don't know. I'm skeptical. But the smaller plants do not melt down, and they don't have the capacity of a Fukushima Daiichi. So maybe you're right, or so the gentleman up above was right, that nuclear power is the answer. Jennifer, I sat at a conference years ago, and I met. She gave me her phone number. I never called her, but I met Bianca Jagger and spoke with her, and she was great. Got a picture with her. But I was at a table, and I tried to ask a question. They didn't call on me. But I was sitting next to a PhD scientist who wrote a book or wrote a study on solar power and the idea of creating, I guess you could create mirrors in space and mirrors down here and satellites, and you could direct the sun's energy down to Earth. Anyway, she's one of these people that knew about it. Very smart woman. She had spoken briefly. And somehow I sat next to her. Or, yeah, I think I was right next to her. It wasn't it was not a crowded conference. And I asked her a question, Jennifer, which caused her to pause. And I've never heard an answer that makes the question go out of my mind. But if the Earth receives a certain amount of sunlight every day, and of course the magnetosphere sends a lot of it away, our atmosphere protects us from radiation, which, by the way, the nuclear power industry creates isotopes of radiation that we have never, every species on this planet, we've never been exposed to, but it's pouring out of Fukushima Daiichi, pouring out of other plants and waste dumps in the United States, South Carolina, Washington State, even in the hills of Los Angeles. And we don't hear about it because our media is corrupt. But anyway, the question I had is, if there's a balance of, the Arctic and the Antarctic reflect a lot of sunlight. The clouds reflect sunlight. The planet sends a lot of the radiation, the heat, away before it even gets here. Well, if we start building technologies as simple as solar panels, and we start absorbing sunlight as energy on a massive scale, can we tip that balance of absorption and reflection to the point that we're absorbing more energy from the sun daily, weekly, monthly, annually than the planet is expelling? My question to her simply was, can we heat up the planet by bringing solar energy into our planet, into our atmosphere, that otherwise would have been reflected? And she had never thought of that. I've never heard the answer, but I don't think there's any magical energy source. I think using garbage is a great idea, and it certainly appeals to my desire for cleanliness, but there will be spin-offs from it. There's nothing perfect. It's nothing perfect. There's always give and takes, and I'm sure Kamala has studied economics enough to understand the trade-offs. 0 was the number of delegates that Kamala won this cycle. Yes, and 0 is the number of calories in this beverage. And 0. You know what else 0 is? Nunya? 0 is, I once was with a friend of mine, and it was at the height of 9/11, and everyone was angry at Arabs and angry at Muslims and angry at Islam and angry at Iran and Iraq, and everybody's angry because of them. So I asked my friend, I asked her, I ask. We were at a grocery store. And I said, do you know what Islam gave us? And she said, what? She was all angry. And I said, 0. And she said, thank you. They've given us nothing. I said, no. They gave us 0. We didn't figure it out for ourselves. They gave us the mathematical number or non-number 0. She didn't like hearing that. And so that night I had to go back to my hotel. I think that's true, Nunya. But what one of Ham's ideas, and far be it for me, I think it's a huge risk to bet against Ham. But one of Ham's ideas is that the short position is so large and that they're trapped, that as the boot comes off the neck, the shorts are going to be lifting their boots off a hand grenade, a boot grenade, and they're going to be destroyed. What bugs me about my intuition is I just feel like they have it all under control, which is why I'm a little more circumspect about that story. I'm a little more, the stock price has to go up first and stay up, and it's got to be for the reasons I've already said so many times, that it could trigger it. Oh, you poor guy. Are you all right? We'll go out. He can't stand up. I've got to take you to telomere. So anyway, but I think you could get the short. I think Ham could very well be right. I wouldn't bet against him. But I think if you take, what they've been able to do, and they do it with every stock, they mean that what it means is the CEO cannot use the enthusiasm for her story to use the stock as currency to go buy and improve the story. They make sure that the stock's currency is worthless. Well, I think Ham has single-handedly kept Finger's price up, and they're mad about that. I think they're mad about that. But the other thing is, you're right, the company did follow Ham's advice. They got out of the note, and so the shorts are in trouble with it. But anyway, the other thing I just want to caution, Nunya, I think you can make, if you want to be negative, you can make an argument that Finger Motion is worth $100 million right now. But I think that's a backward-looking argument. I think it's a risky argument because the company's on the verge, to me, of potentially explosive new revenue streams. Question is, does it happen within 90 days or does it happen within 6 months? And nobody can know that. But as investors, we can only really make our decision by, and we don't know when it's going to run. But I will tell you, when you read about it in the news and when analysts have reports and when it's so clear that let me pick him up. There you go, good boy. There you go. Oh gosh, he used to be the strongest dog. He could do anything. And now he can't even get his hind legs up. We'll go out, Lucky. We'll go out. He could jump over a 7-foot fence. He could outrun any dog. Horse, he could outrun horses on a farm once, at least in the pasture. But now he can barely walk. It breaks my heart. But anyway, Nunya, so I think there's a lot of things to invest in. And I think some investors could say when they looked at Finger, it's fairly valued. My argument is that Finger Motion in two areas. I think that contract for the automobile, the emergency vehicles, that contract by itself, I think is huge. But what it means for future contracts from the Defense Department or from the government, to me, is revolutionary as well. And then I don't know what to call it, the cloud / data / insurance, that whole thing they've been investing in, which we could summarize by calling it big data, sapientis. I think those two areas are just, they're on the verge of just exploding upwards in earnings, and it can change the profile of the company. Imagine if you could just see a report from, let's dream, from Merrill Lynch saying that Finger Motion is the next Snow, SNOW. I'm not saying that's coming tomorrow. I think it's something that could come down the road. So anyway, and that in the early stages of that could catch any shorts out short. So Nunez talking about what stock? I recommend folks looked at it at 240. It closed at 6. Oh, Wolf, I'm guessing. Wolf, yeah. I used to own, I'm such an idiot. I had, I think, 20,000 shares of Wolf. I think I paid $1. And I think because of my own situation, I had to sell it. And I think I sold it at, I want to say 86 cents. That was a while ago. Still on. Hey, Red Pepper Ronnie, thank you for doing that. Just ignore the part where I'm losing my heart and I dun, 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 dun. Once more, it's something once more. Shooty doody doo doo. When I get to the part where you're breaking my heart, and I can't remember. When it gets to the part where you're breaking my heart, I can't remember it. Sounds like getting physical coins, bullion is the way. I think so, but you got to remember, there's no perfect answer. If you get physical coins and bullion, and the world gets in a real breakdown, people will steal it from you. It will be stolen from you. So don't tell anybody that you did it. And the other thing about physical, if you buy it, don't open it up. When you get it, it depends on how much you buy. But if you get it and it comes in a container and it's taped, don't open it. Because if silver runs and it goes to all-time highs, you're going to want to, and you want to sell, you're going to call up and you're going to want to sell. If you send the container as is, they can turn it around. They can turn it around very quickly. The other problem with silver, it's heavy. It's heavier than an existentialist's argument. All right, we'll take you out, Lucky. So those are some of the negatives, but the positives on silver is I think you're going to get the biggest bang for the buck in silver. I think PSLV is physical. silver. So you can buy that in your retirement account, in your accounts. That's Sprott Asset Management. I think it's only in the most dire of situations where you won't be able to sell that and get your money, like MF Global, MFS Global, MS Global. You know, the one with John Corzine. People couldn't get their assets out of that brokerage firm because he used people's assets to make his bet in the currency markets or whatever it was. But eventually everybody got their money back. So there's nothing perfect. And then another way to buy physical silver is buy it and store it with the firm you buy it from. And so is it Hong Kong? Is it Canada or Singapore? Well, if we're at war with China, is Hong Kong going to be safe? On the other hand, Hong Kong's probably safer than Tyson's Corner if football teams worth of people are roaming the suburbs because they don't have food or gasoline and everybody's broke. I don't know. You just can't protect for every scenario. Not run-of-the-mill garbage. Yeah, I'd like them to burn the nuclear waste. I learned to share my screen. I did. Okay, Benjamin, I like that question. Lucky, you're stuck there. I don't know how to get you turned around. There you go. There you go. All right, Benjamin. Let me just show you something. Let me just show you something if it's up here. Poor guy. I love that guy. He's having such a hard time. He's having such a hard time. He is having such a hard time. Lucky, just let me one more thing and I'll be done. All right, so Benjamin, this is NIXX, see? NIXX up here, NIXX, all right. All right. All right. I mean, this trend is undeniable upward. I'm not even trying to make any line that makes sense. It's just, you can see that it's just higher highs, higher lows pretty much all along. Now, if we come up sort of in the closer range, I think this was the trend line. And I think this is its parallel, something like that. Something in that range. I'm not getting this perfect, Benjamin, but I would say something in the way she moves. Something like that is one possible trend line. So what happened to NYC at the beginning of October, look how it broke out. It ran all the way to 5.5. But if you look down here, Benjamin, I don't know if you can see my little circling. I can draw a line sort of right here. There's not a lot of volume. So I think that was a false head fake, but it broke out. It broke out. But then the stock came back into this trend line and it bounces back and forth. Then all of a sudden here, which I guess was last week, it breaks out. It goes all the way to almost 12 in the pre-market. And to me, Benjamin, because of this volume, look at this volume here. Look at this volume here. Because of that, to me, this chart is telling you where the stock wants to go, which to me is up. Now it pulled back. It went all the way up here, and I don't know what happened. It tried to bounce back, and it's been, like you noticed, 1, 2, 3, 4 days of pulling back to this support. Now, this isn't magical. I drew a sloppy line. I mean, it could come down to this 20-day moving average. It could come down to there. I can see a line here at 250, and maybe something else. I don't know. But my point is, it broke out like gangbusters. Something interfered with that breakout. So your choice is, oh, that was fake. That didn't mean anything. That was just silly. I don't see it that way. That volume down below is so massive. I just wondered, what does that mean? Now, that doesn't obviously, that's not a lot of information to go on. But so my point there would be, you wouldn't want to buy it at 850. But now that it's pulled back into this range, the top of this range, maybe that's an interesting buy. You got to realize there's risk to it. It could go lower, and maybe that head fake. But if you're gambling, which the stock be, at this point, all these stocks, it's a good entry point. All right, let me show you one other thing, and then I'm gonna go walk my dog. Poor guy. Let's go back 5 years. Let's get the annotate. All right, so you see it better here, Benjamin. This very broad trend line. You don't have to be perfect. Just try to make it parallel as much as possible. And in fact, you could come up here. You could come up here and make it up here. I don't like that one. I'd like it closer. But anyway, you get the idea. I like it tighter because that's where all the action is. Anyway, regardless of my drawing abilities, the stock has gone through this trend. It smashed out of it on low volume, came back and got buried. And then something made it just come out like a cannon. But even that pulled back. But it hasn't really gotten back down in the mire. So my point, Benjamin, is if I read this, I think it's going to make another attempt to go up. So this is another support in here. I'm going to do these quickly without. This is a clear sort of breakout potential here, breakout potential here with that price there. Here's a breakout potential. This here, which is around $18. This in here, I'm doing this so quickly, sorry, because my dog is stressing me. I'd say that's around $28. This here would be a target, $50. This would be a target, $80. And I think this is the clearest target of all right here. I'm not telling you it's going to go this high, but there's a gap right there. Can you see it? I don't know if you see it. Do you see where the blue 50-day moving average is? There's a gap there. And I think that gap could be filled in a rally. So my answer to you, Benjamin, I don't think it's over. I think you could see action there. And I think it's a sign. It's a battle going on. Over here it rallied, over here it rallied. In fact, here it got through. they drive it down, but then for a year and a half, it's been steadily upward. That churning, that burning, that trading, that gets rid of a lot of this resistance up here. All this resistant points up here, a lot of that selling gets done down here in a traditional market. So I think it's ready to break out. And if you wanted to play NYX, I wouldn't blame you one single bit. And I think the action could be soon, is my guess. All right, I'm going to sign out. I'm going to quickly go here. I wish everybody a good night, and I pray for peace, particularly for the children who are starving and cold tonight without water, food, or parents. I pray that God blesses them.